my Colombian national team podcast. Today it's a podcast because FIFA keeps taking down my shit. But yeah, welcome to the post World Cup. I was gonna do a post England whatever, but I mean it's kind of the same thing. If you listen to my post Japan podcast, it's almost the exact same thing with the England game. Yeah, I mean the starting 11 was kind of shaky. Lerma, I don't know why he was there. You know, the positioning that they were using, the formation they were using, it's like a formation that Colombia's never used in the 4 years that Colombia's played. And for some reason, our coach decides to put it to use on the game, on a very important game without our star player. So that was kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. And Lerma wasn't really doing much the whole tournament. And, you know, he played really badly against Japan. And for some reason, he was supposed to, you know, I don't know why, but for some reason, he was going to play well against England. What? But, yeah, no one knows what happened there. But, I mean, it's over. It's done. I don't want to, like I said, if you want to know my feelings about the post-England game, just listen to my post-Japan game. And that's almost the exact same thing. Formation, Lerma. No one knows what was going on. But, I mean, the starting 11... So, I mean, the players we did get to see, like Mina, breakthrough World Cup for him. 3 goals, 3 crucial goals. Opener against Poland. Winning only goal against Senegal. And that last-minute equalizer against England that sent us all into cloud 9 and dreaming big again. Davinson Sanchez, his World Cup was okay. I mean, he was kind of shaky against Japan. He was shaky against Senegal. Almost got a penalty. He was a bit shaky against England. Santiago Arias, you can't really say anything bad about Santiago Arias. He put in work. He did what he was supposed to do. I didn't see him in the highlights messing up. But Santiago Arias was there. Carlos Sanchez, I mean, he could have had a better World Cup. Too much liability. 2 penalties. Again, one against Japan in that penalty. That shouldn't have been a penalty, but it was a penalty against England. Why shouldn't it have been a penalty? I mean, if VAR was used and, you know, the referee goes back to the initial contact of that sequence of events, he would see that Kane actually fouls Sanchez and kind of like puts him on a weird downward chokehold. And then Sanchez, for some reason, tries to recover. And at the end of the whole sequence, he's like on Kane's back. And I don't know why. He should have just fallen and just got the foul. Or, I mean, the ball wasn't even going to Kane. I mean, Mina blocked it. So, I mean, it's weird. Sanchez shouldn't have done what he did. And the referee should have just not called the penalty. And he should have gone to VAR for that one. Instead, he didn't. Why? I don't know. A lot of people are saying it's because of the language barrier. He was an American referee from the States. England, they both speak the same language as opposed to Colombia, who speaks Spanish. And there was some criticism by the Colombian players who would say that they were trying to, talk to him, get him to maybe be a bit more open-minded towards some of their criticism towards the game. But he was having none of it. But you know what? That was all said and done. The reason we lost was because of the penalties. And that's it. Alright, so Sanchez, 2 penalties, unacceptable. But this is probably his last World Cup. We have Wilmar Berrios taking his spot. Right beside him, I thought, Uribe did really well. Same with Berrios. I like that Sanchez-Berrios duo. And I wish it got played against England. I think we would have done a whole lot better if that was the midfield right there. Instead of doing Lerma. It was a very... I mean, I could criticize Pekerman because of the way he made the formation, which was very defensively. And literally the next game when England plays Croatia, Croatia played to win and they played offensively. And you could see the fruits of their labor. I feel like if Pekerman did the same thing against England, we would have been in a whole different situation. But what can you do? Falcao, I don't know. Falcao, I thought he had an okay World Cup. I mean, we didn't really have that many forwards. He could have used Muriel maybe because Borja was injured. Baca was not playing too well. You know, we lost James, and James was having a pretty good game. I mean, against Poland, he was the player of the game with those crucial passes and holding the ball. Cuadrado, I don't know. I thought Cuadrado could have done better, but he wasn't 100%. I thought he had an okay World Cup. Ospina, I thought Ospina had a pretty good World Cup. I was kind of scared that he was going to be a liability, but you know, against Poland, he was rock solid. Against Senegal, again, he saved that that lead we had, that very small lead we had. He saved it, but what else can you say? Yeah, so the penalties, man, the penalties. I thought if Colombia was gonna play for penalties, why did they not practice the penalties? As soon as they started, as such a defensive formation at the beginning, why not maybe practice some of those penalties that they were gonna take, or maybe they thought they were gonna not go to penalties. Who the hell knows? It's too late now. Uribe, I can't really be mad at Uribe for his penalty. I mean, he's the reason that we got that corner kick and Mina converted for the tie. Baca, though, a very weak penalty kick. He should have done way better. And you can't miss 2 penalties and expect to advance. That rarely happens. So I don't know. I wasn't feeling Baca after that. I think his cycle at the World Cup has come to an end. And we have to now think about the future, which qualifiers start again in October. Copa America is next year, and this is said and done. World Cup's done. France are the champions, and we got to move on. We got to think about what we're gonna do after. We have a lot of young talent. We have probably the most part I'm excited for is our young center back duo, Yeremina and Davinson Sanchez. Very excited because they're like 21 and 22, so they're only gonna get better. I just feel like we're lacking again on the wings. Maybe on the left back, Santiago Gares is gonna get tired soon. He's getting up there in age, so we're gonna have to find a new left back, a new right back. In the middle, I like Wilmar Berrios, I like Mateus Uribe. James Rodriguez, he's 27. He's not gonna be there forever. Forwards, I think Colombia has a drought in forwards. Right now, the forwards we have are not the best. Falcao, I mean, he's my hero. I look up to him. I thought him playing this World Cup was, it's one of those stories where adversary doesn't win, and he finally fulfills his dream and playing a World Cup. So, Falcao, like I said, he's my hero, but I think that's it for him. I don't think he can, we have to start thinking of other forwards. What other forwards are there, you ask? I have no fucking clue, because Borja is not that great either. Baca's on his way out. Muriel's almost there. I mean, one of the youngest forwards that I can think of on top of my head is Santos Borré, and he's not that great. He's kind of terrible. He's been bouncing around teams for a very, very long time. So, I mean, hopefully in the next couple of years, someone somewhere appears, because if not, we're going to have Yeremina score all the goals from here on out. And I think that, midfield-wise we're good. It's just our forwards, man. Our forwards are not that great. But, yeah, so that's hopefully thinking about the future. The whole James thing, man, there was a lot of controversy about the James injury. Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? And that was like since Japan. Like no one knew what the hell was going on with James. And then we finally find out, after the England game, or before the England game, we all thought he was going to play. There was that, words that, maybe he might. We don't know. We're going to wait for him until the last hour. And then he doesn't play. And we freak the fuck out because we see the starting 11 and Lerma's playing. And that's it. We kind of just pack our bags and go. But now we know exactly the extent of his injury, which was pretty bad. I mean, he wasn't going to be able to play the rest of the World Cup. I mean, if we got past England, we would got to Croatia, no James. All right, even if we got to the final, no James. I mean, Sweden. So we passed England, go to Sweden, no James. Could we have done something against Sweden? Maybe. I think our chances were good without James. Against Croatia, I don't think so. I think we would have gotten as far as Croatia without James. or without some crazy performance from our team. But again, that injury was pretty controversial because I now we know the extent of the injury, and now we know that the medical staff was not agreeing with the coaching staff on how it was being handled. The medical staff, they wanted to be upfront with everybody, telling them, listen, James is injured, this is what he has, he can't play. The coaching staff, they're kind of playing those mind games and stuff like that, and they were using the media, which now the media is kind of, they're kind of pissed off because they were being used like puppets, so Pekerman can kind of, try to send people in different directions, which didn't work. I don't know. I don't understand that. Like, if James is injured, he's not going to play. Just say he's not going to play. Because no one's going to be like, no one's going to commit to one strategy. James is playing or James is not playing. There's probably like, and you got to give out your starting 11 1 hour prior to the game. So there's a lot of time where, they can say, okay, this is plan A, this is plan B. Plan A, James plays. Plan B, James doesn't play. And they're like, all right, so now we go to plan B. So I don't know what the point of, throwing that injury there. Like, it was gonna throw off anybody. I mean, I mentioned in one of my podcasts that James was possibly gonna be out for the rest of the World Cup, and a lot of people told me I was negative. But from what I've read and from what I've heard, and I actually read a pretty good article from I guess a respectable source, because now I'm gonna go back, because he was the one that explained the injury to the whatever extent, and he said that if this is the injury that James has, he's not gonna play for the rest of the World Cup. And I thought it was a pretty good the breakdown was pretty good, the way he explained it. So that's why I then mentioned it, that James was not gonna play the rest of the World Cup. And I got called almost every name in the book, and people saying that I was being negative and stuff like that. But now we all know the truth, and James was injured and he wasn't gonna play the rest of the World Cup. So maybe going out against England might have been good, because if we got to Croatia, I think they would have embarrassed us completely with the James. But that it, you can't really, it is what it is. You can't go back and what if Mateus Uribe made his penalty, or what if Baca didn't miss his penalty, or what if that penalty wasn't called against Carlos Sanchez, which wasn't a penalty, or what if there was actually another controversial moment from that game where the referee stopped the play because he believed that there was 2 balls on the pitch, but there was never 2 balls on the pitch. And if he hadn't stopped that play, Carlos Baca would have had a clear shot on goal and possibly converted the 1-1 right there. And then, but that's another one of all those controversial moments that happened in that game with that particular American referee from the United States. But whatever, it's all said and done. We can't go back. It is what it is. We have to look forward. Looking forward, Pekerman, is he staying or is he going? Pekerman is most likely leaving the Colombian national team. It sounds like they want to have him in Argentina as the director of their AFA, of their federation. I don't think he wants to be a coach anymore. He's pushing like 70 or something like that. He's probably wants to, slow things down. He's been working for 6 years straight. Maybe he wants something where he doesn't have to travel as much or do as much work. And thinking about maybe going into the youth academy in Argentina and really, I guess, really trying to, nurture some up and coming talent. There's also talk that Colombia wants to keep him, not as a coach, but as the sporting director for the federation. What would I like? I would like Pekerman to not be coach at Colombia anymore. I feel like this World Cup was shambles, and the only reason we got so far was because Pekerman got saved by Mina, by a defender, with those 3 very crucial goals. Again, the opener against Poland, which allowed us to control the tempo, the only goal against Senegal, and the equalizer against England. I think that's the only reason Pekerman was able to get that parade when he got back to Colombia, because if it wasn't for that, we would have been eliminated. If you take Yeremina out, which Pekerman didn't play against Japan, then we just remember, everybody, Pekerman decided that Mina was not good enough to start until he was forced to start him. And So he pretty much saved Pekerman, even though Pekerman didn't believe in Yeremina. But again, if you go back, not even for this World Cup, but if you go back a couple of games, maybe 2 years, where Colombia have really been struggling. We lost to Paraguay at home. We tied to Peru in that 1-1 draw. We lost to Uruguay at home. We had Argentina, but just I don't know. It's the tactics. I think it's the tactics, and I think Pekerman's cycle at Colombia is over, and I think it's time that we look somewhere else. And who are the coaches that are possibly coming to to Colombia? Well, a lot of Colombians don't want a Colombian coach because of the politics that means. Sometimes Colombian coaches, they get influenced by businessmen who sell players, and they push players on the coaches, and they give them a little money on the side, and then you see some random starting 11s, like, why is that guy even there? Well, because his agent paid the coach to put him there, and then hopefully get him some money by being sold to some team in Mexico or Europe or what have you. So that's why a lot of people don't want a Colombian coach, or feel like Colombia's not ready for a Colombian coach. But I really like Osorio. I thought what Osorio did in Mexico was really good. That game against Germany was probably the highlight of his career and the best game he's coached. I feel like he could bring that to Colombia, but a lot of people don't like Osorio's rotational. He rotates a lot of players. He does different things, and I don't think people are ready for it. I think Osorio's still trying to find his coaching identity, and maybe that's, I don't think Colombians are patient enough for that. Another Colombian coach that I thought would be pretty good was Reinaldo Rueda, who right now at Chile is not having a very good time because the person who hired him has since been let go, so he feels like his job could be at risk. But I thought he was doing very well in Chile, but if for whatever reason that doesn't work out, we could always get Reinaldo Rueda. And I think those are the two Colombian coaches right now that could possibly take over. What foreign coaches could possibly take over, since Colombians aren't ready for their own coaching the national team? There's talk about Pekerman's assistant Nestor Lorenzo, who has been again with Colombia same time as Pekerman, 6 years. The players know him, they gel with him. It's a familiar face. They're familiar with their tactics because it's almost the same as Pekerman. But I honestly think we cannot use that philosophy anymore in the Colombian national team. Like I was just saying, how Pekerman was not doing so great for the past couple of 2 years, maybe a year and a half, and this World Cup kind of solidifies Pekerman's career at Colombia. It was been shaky, and the times they have played, they play really well, but then when they don't, they're overshadowed by that one game that they play well, and you end up losing games because of that, and championships, and maybe not even qualifying. Colombia barely qualified for this World Cup with Pekerman. So I don't know about Nestor Lorenzo. I would not like to see him there. I would like to see someone with a familiar, with different tactics. Just not, Nestor, no. Another coach that has been sounding the alarms is Garese from Peru. And I think he said that he's gonna, he hasn't signed on to Peru yet, but he's saying that maybe not, but it might be the reason he's just looking for offers. I know the Argentinian FA is looking for a new coach since they have let go of Sampaoli, the most controversial coach in the history of coaching. Left very in very bad way in Chile, kind of sketchy, saying that they were keeping him there. He was a prisoner. Goes to Sevilla, does the same thing to Sevilla, saying that he wants to leave, but they're keeping him there. Now he goes, then he says he's always wanted to coach Messi. Coaches Messi, does a terrible campaign in the World Cup where they get eliminated by France in the round of 16, which isn't so bad since France turned out to be the world champions. But people were criticizing just how he was handling the team, and people were saying that eventually Messi took over, which was kind of weird, I guess. I don't know if that's true or not. No one ever knows what's happening in the Argentinian Federation. But so the coach from Peru, possibly a replacement for Pekerman. I honestly think we should not look In South America, we should probably start looking for a European coach. The reason being, I feel like, Europe has won the past, I think, 3 or 4 World Cups. Spain in 2014, Germany, Spain in 2010, Germany 2014, now France, and 2006, I think that was, Italy, I think it was. I don't remember. 2006, I feel like it was a European team won in 2006. But so I think we should start looking for a European coach who could take us to a next level. We have the players that understand the European philosophy of playing. We have the players that could, press high or whatever tactic is needed. But I think that should be Colombia's next step, is trying to get a European coach. And as you can see, you don't have to have, like the cream of the crop of European coaches. If you look at some of the coaches that went to this World Cup from Europe, they're not that experienced, and they got pretty far. Especially the Croatian coach. I think he was in there for not even maybe a year or two, with Croatia not. I mean, when he got in there, Croatia wasn't even qualified. They had to go face Greece or something to get to the playoff spot. Then they beat Greece. Then they finally made it in. Then they played for the World Cup, and man, they went to the final. I like Croatia's story. Croatia had a really good story. I felt like if there was justice, Croatia would have won, just because of all the hard work they've been doing, the running, the pressing, the way they play with a lot of heart. So that's why I thought if there was justice, Croatia should have won. But in this sport, there isn't, the Cinderella story doesn't always win, and that's why France was just played way better. They were way rested. There was a statistic going around that if we put all the extra or the overtime games that Croatia won, it would equal to one whole game that France didn't have to play. So they were way better rested than Croatia. But that's it. I think looking forward, Colombia probably needs to look at some European talent for their coaching staff, and it's time to replace some of the aging players that we have. So the next couple of months are going to be interesting. Is Pekerman going to go? His contract is over at I think it's in August, the end of August or the beginning, one of those two. So we're gonna find out what he's deciding. Hopefully he, in my personal opinion, hopefully he leaves. I think that's it. Thank you, Pekerman, for your time. It was a rough couple of 6 years, but it's time to move forward. And it's time for me to move forward. How am I gonna go about this now that the World Cup is over? Man, the World Cup blues. It's weird because now there's so much time in the day where you don't have to watch 2 games. So it's like you have like 5 hours to do something. But yeah, we're having the World Cup blues where you wake up and you're like, what do I do with my life right now? There's no soccer for a bit. I know the Premier League doesn't start for like a month or something like that. Most of the leagues aren't starting up again. Copa America's next year. A qualifier start in October, so this is a while. But moving forward, how am I going to do this podcast? I think I'm going to do a monthly podcast until we get to the qualifiers. Or if there's any random friendlies pop up, I'll probably pop up as well. But this is it for me for the World Cup. I mean, thanks for everyone who's listening. It's been crazy. I've been getting a lot of good comments, a lot of people, showing support, showing some love. I knew it wasn't gonna be easy doing a podcast, especially this is like the first time I ever do a podcast. And I wasn't expecting, any overnight success. I know you gotta work at this and just be motivated about it. And like I said, I'm passionate about the Colombian national team, so it's something I'm gonna do either way. I mean, if 2 people are listening for me, that's awesome. That's 2 people that I get to, share my ideas with, and people comment back, and we have conversations and talk for like days on end, where the thread just keeps going and going and going. And for me, that's cool. I like talking to people like that, especially about the Colombian national team. So moving forward, like I said, I'm probably gonna do like a monthly thing where I talk about the players and possibly, have like a summary of what they're doing, what James is doing, Falcao, what teams are ending up on. What teams are ending up on, and yeah, and then when the friendlies are, I know there's a friendly in September somewhere. I just don't know exactly, and I don't want to check right now. But yeah, so I'll do everything from month to month, and then Copa America starts. I'll do again same thing like the World Cup, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this edition of the Colombian national team World Cup run. I know I had a blast. This was probably the best World Cup I could remember. I mean, watching Germany get eliminated, I could not imagine that. Watching Argentina go toe to toe against France, that was crazy. That was a good game. Portugal, Spain, that was another good game. With that, I think the goal of the tournament is that Ronaldo goal, where he gets a free kick and puts it in, because of what it was. I mean, that game was tick for tack. It was like 2-3 dying seconds. Ronaldo steps up to the plate and kicks it in. Like, what? For me, my personal moment of those World Cup was, the one that really stood out was when Falcao scored. Just watching him score and just thinking about, what he had to go through 4 years ago, where he wasn't gonna make it, and it was just sad, and people thought he wasn't gonna play again. He was out, or play competitively, and then he scores a goal in the World Cup. I thought that was huge. My other favorite moment was when Yeremina scores that goal against England, and I remember thinking, man, this is terrible. I wish we could go further, and I wish, it was just like, I was already thinking about, Colombia lost. I didn't like the starting 11. I don't know what Lerma was there. He had a terrible game against England. The formation was all wrong, and I was like, man, what could possibly go? It was like, it was over. I thought the game was over, and then Yeremina comes out of nowhere and scores that fucking goal, and it was just cloud nine again. Can we do it? Can we make it? And that's probably those are probably my two favorite moments from this World Cup. Man, watching Mexico beat Germany, that was fun. Watching that last minute goal in the Germany-Sweden game, I thought that was crazy. I couldn't believe it. This World Cup just has so many crazy memorable moments. I think if there's so many, I probably spent like half an hour talking about them. But yeah, it's gone. World Cup is over. Let's look forward to more soccer in later in the year. Again, thank everyone for listening. Thank you for sharing my podcast. I've seen some things where it's been shared. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. To everyone who subscribed, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. For people who comment on my podcasts and we have conversations, thank you. Yeah, I think that's it. Moving forward, monthly, and then we'll see what happens from here. I was thinking of maybe doing a video now. I feel like I'm more comfortable doing this, so maybe I'll do a video. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening. And I think that's it from me. I have nothing else to say. Yeah. Thank you. Anyways, peace out.